So that being the case, I would suggest that we get an amended report to approve next month.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Is that achievable?
We'll discuss.
Are you guys moving the entire item to next month because of the amendment for D?
We can't assure that,
The issue is that I think that they can't assure the board that the rest of it is correct.
I just wanted to make sure your motion was clear.
I'd like a motion that the entire report be brought back next month to ensure that it's accurate.
Okay, so let's table item 1 to next regular board meeting.
Table item 1 for the next board meeting.
And we don't need a public comment on that, take that consensus at table.
I went through C and everything I could check was accurate. All the numbers added up and were correct with the information that I had, so I didn't find any errors in that. But when I went through the budget versus actuals portion, this is not what we've done in the past. And even with the budget adjustments being made, and they're supposed to reflect those adjustments in the actuals, I'm not confident with it. Because it's not the format that I looked at it before.
No, I agree, and I don't think that the board has had enough time to properly review this item to.
It's dangerous.
When does this end?
Helene, do they have to take an official vote to table it? We don't
Yes.
table very many things, okay. So Ashley, motion to table,
Mm-hmm.
can I get a second?
In a second, it was right here.
You, Anthony?
Yeah,
Sorry, I was typing.
all of it.
Okay. Director Parent,
Abstain.
Director Palafox,
Yes.
Director Talbot,
Yes.
it moved around. Director Green,
No.
President Sangster,
Yes.
passes 3-0, or 3-1, one is abstained.
Can you speak to the fact as to why this is what it is?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what's, part of this is a closed session item, so I gotta be kind of careful where I step.
I see.
But I don't have the full confidence that
Well-
things are being addressed appropriately.
It was a weird kind of month there.
I just don't see how this can continue to go on. I mean, it's been, I don't know, somewhere around 12 years now? Longer, right?
$20 years.
Pretty much.
I don't know if there's an answer to that question.
Well, and that's even spookier that you can't speak to it because it's closed session, so there's your transparency right there.
What we've done, we put things in place to where things are double checked. We have a meeting on the Tuesday before the board agenda is supposed to be turned in on that Thursday.
Right.
And at that meeting, we sit down as a group and we review everything. One of the reasons for that meeting is because there was too many errors in these reports, and we were able to identify them. When I went to have the meeting at this last Tuesday, the individual that deals with this wouldn't even come to the meeting. And there's reasons for that. That's what I can't speak about. But I inquired and asked and all the
So
way
I
up.
think we may be
You're already
crossing into
stepping over.
territory that's in violation of the Brown Act, so I think we probably are best to move on since we've already motioned to table it.
Okay. Just ask that we receive the reports correct and verified
Yeah.
next month. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 2. Review and approve resolution 2020-02 awarding a 5-year contract with Brunswick Consultants to continue providing services as district engineer.
So, at the end of this month, contract with Monsoon Consulting expires. as our district engineer. We have worked through a contract with the attorney and Dr. Reilly to extend that contract, or a new contract to renew it, which is attached. Essentially, the difference is that their rates are slightly higher than they were, but they are still lower than the other the other companies that were polled. This was not put out as an RFP, since they are our current district engineer. If the board's desire is to send it out as an RFP, then Dr. Reilly has assured me that he will respond to that. It'll just take more time. He is currently under contract for the work for the wastewater treatment plant, so that work would not stop. We would still continue on with that. Just normal district engineering functions may be hindered in that process of getting an RFP out and moving forward. His contract, or the proposed contract, is attached. Essentially, his rates, if you looked at the report, they range from 65 to 110. At this point, they're ranging from 90 to 145, which is actually, based on his current contract, what they should have gone to after 12 months. But he didn't need to raise them, so he didn't, and held his original rates for the current contract. If you have any questions, you'll answer them. If you have any concerns,
I do. There are a couple of fairly significant things that I take exception to with this. First of which is that this being brought to us the month that his contract expires. So if you're going to be looking at renewing his contract, it should have taken place 6 to 3 months ago in that order.
we actually did start 4 or 5 months ago. So.
Okay, well, it's the first I've heard of it, especially regarding the rates and everything else. When you say the rates have increased slightly, they've actually gone up 30 to 60%. That's significant. What I would like to avoid is another 218 process, because we're bringing to a contract, first of all, it's 5 years, and a 30 to 60% increase over what we've been paying. The information that I think is missing here, that I would really need to make an educated decision, aside from any contract issues, what has been billed for district engineering work? In other words, not projects, but what has he been paid for years 1 through 3 in the current contract?
Okay.
Furthermore, this agreement, while in our resolution we state that it's a 5-year deal, there is nothing in the contract that has a term stated. There's also a provision, would be item J, where it states that disputes would be mediated. I'd rather not agree to mediation. If we have any legal concerns, we should litigate. Nobody wins when it's an arbitration or mediation. Item G, and this is probably in the current contract, but it states that all documents prepared or furnished by engineer are instruments of service, and engineer retains an ownership and property interest, including the copyright and the right of reuse in such documents, whether or not the project is completed. The district shall have limited license to use documents on the project, extensions of the project, and for related uses of the district, subject to receipt by engineer of full payment due and owing for all services and additional services related to preparation of the documents, and subject to the following limitations. So, in item G, we're essentially paying for services. We could be paying for tangible items such as engineering documents, plans, etc., etc. Is we are spending public funds. I don't know how we can, A, legally, or B, in good conscience of spending public funds, allow the ownership to stay with Monsoon Consultants or the district engineer. Does that make sense to anybody else?
You're saying since we're paying for them already, that we should own them?
Yes. If we're spending public money, the taxpayers' money, people that reside in the district are spending their funds, I'm not sure that it would be ethical to leave the ownership with the person we're paying. In other words, in my mind, that should become property of the district. Any plans, any designs, anything that he's providing to us in the service of being district engineer.
Yep.
Should be property of the district, not property of the engineer.
So the way I read this is that it is their property, and we have limited use of it until we pay them. So it's subject to receipt by the engineer of full payment due, billing for all services and additional services relating to preparation.
That's not how I read it. And I'll tell you why, because we wouldn't get licensed to use something without payment. In other words, he's not gonna license us to use it unless he's paid in full anyway. It's saying that he is retaining an ownership and property interest in what he's providing.
Okay, well, we can look at rewording that.
So, again, my biggest concern is what we paid him year-to-date in years 1, 2, and 3. And given the increase, I mean, it's a substantial increase. It's not a minor increase in the rate. I mean, 30 to 60% after a 3-year term seems exorbitant. It's not as though the district has suddenly become flush and we're sitting on millions of dollars. We're still in the same position. So my concern is that we're agreeing to a contract and we're essentially paying the district engineer a substantially higher sum of money year over year. We're gonna be back in the same position, doing another 218, to increase utility rates for water and wastewater to cover this extra increase in cost. So me personally, I can't support that. I 1000% think that Dr. Reilly is the right person for our position. And I wholeheartedly believe that he has district interest at heart and is an expert in what he does. And I don't think that we don't want to have his services, but again, at the same cost of what's proposed, I don't see how we can agree to that.
Okay.
So, President Sangster,
Yes.
I just want to make something clear. I think G is intended the way Kelly described it, but what we could do is we could go add additional language in that provision to make it explicit that even though it's subject to full payment, that even after we finish our relationship with Monsoon, that the district remains full property ownership of whatever they did for us.
We need to, because it's ambiguous right now.
Okay.
Other board comment?
I can support that position. Also, I just think that between our previous district engineer and Dr. Reilly, that Dr. Reilly has performed significantly above and beyond the services that I've seen over my entire life.
Absolutely.
Being in San Miguel.
Yeah, well, he has definitely provided above and beyond for the district, and he is open to working with us, and he wants to work with us, so I think he'd be willing to make the changes that you talked about, and I can definitely provide the other information that you had asked for.
Okay.
If I can just get a consensus that this is the direction that the whole board wants to go, and not in the direction of an RFP, then we can bring it back in February. I'm sure you would probably still work with us through that time.
This expires when?
The 31st of January.
Yeah. So I agree with the statement that it should have come, I know that you've been working on it for a long time, but we probably shouldn't be doing it last minute. But
No, and that was not the intention. The intention was actually to bring it to the board in November, but because of various vacations
And the
back and
12
forth,
items that were on the agenda already.
and back and forth, it just didn't quite make it until the beginning of this month to a final state, so it couldn't actually be brought to you. So that's my fault, and I apologize for that.
With regards to the RFP question, so having that we have recently looked at purchasing policy as it specifically applies to professional services, being that we have an existing contract with Dr. Reilly, if we were to get some consideration on these points that have been brought tonight, I would be supportive of negotiating a contract with him without going through the RFP process. If he were a new vendor, or someone else trying to get business with the district, I would not be supportive of that. But based on his performance and history with the district, I would be supportive of that, provided the other members of the board agree. Ready to be? Prepared?
Having worked with several engineers in my professional life throughout this county, including the ones who were formerly employed with this district, you cannot do better than Monsoon Consultants. I don't think you could even do it cheaper with the increases.
So do you concur that this is the correct direction to pursue a change to the contract that's being presented?
Sure.
I'll go along with that too.
Do you agree? Rollins, yes. Consensus is, okay.
Fine.
Okay, well,
Do we call for comment? Or not work, on public comment?
Public comment on this item.
Yes.
I do. I agree about Blaine and his professionalism. I've been very impressed with him. But I was kind of shocked by seeing this on the board agenda so abruptly, really, and also with the, what I felt were massive increases. And I also noticed there was a change in titles of some of the positions for their engineers or assistants or whatever they were. And so it made me think that in that accounting that you asked for, which I think is really a good idea, of the services as engineering contract, which of those people, those various levels of engineers were used and to what extent? Because there's a significant difference between some of the fledglings compared to Blaine's fee. And then on top of that, I wondered why Blaine is at meeting tonight for the district. If that's at his engineer fees, I think that's a wrong choice because that's a lot of money to pay to go to a meeting. So just my thoughts on the subject, but I agree working with Blaine, I think it's a great idea. I've been very impressed with him, whereas I haven't with other engineers in the past.
can I speak to that?
Yes.
Well, portion of having Blaine go to the meeting, we felt that he was best suited to be able to answer all the questions. He has no history with any of the people that are involved. He's basically just representing the district to try to feel out what their opinion is of putting an office building at the end of their street. And I think that, I mean to disagree, but I think that we needed somebody there that could answer all the questions, you know? I mean, he knows the entire thing inside out. And he's more than professional, in my opinion, as the way he presents himself. And so, I think that's why we went that way.
That makes sense.
All right. Any other public comment?
Do you get what you needed, Kelly?
Yeah.
Consensus, okay.
We'll bring that back next month, the information.
Yeah, we'll bring that back.
So, table all these and go on.
You can't do that. As much as you want to, we can't do that.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to item number 3, discuss and approve resolution 2020-03, authorizing the director of utilities to contract with DE Construction with repairs to the liner and pontoon at wastewater treatment facility at an estimated cost of $8,500 and authorizing budget increase in another $8,500 to wastewater treatment plant maintenance.
So it's the same thing we talked about a couple times. We endeavored to get additional quotes for pond line replacement. The only other company we could contact was out of Colorado. A verbal quote of almost double this. So our recommendation is to use DE Construction. They're actually out of Visalia. And they're standing by at $8,500, even though it's been several months since they originally gave it to us. And potentially it could be less if it doesn't take them quite the day. That's their base day rate. And as discussed before, there was a fear that we would have to replace the whole liner because of the amount of damage. They essentially assured me that we don't have to do that we can fix it, and it'll last probably another 40 years, even though I'll probably end up filling it in 2 years. So, again, the recommendation is to award the contract to DE Construction at $8,500 and authorize a budget adjustment for the same amount to wastewater treatment plant maintenance. And then we can get it scheduled to get fixed.
Board comment?
Go ahead.
Other question I have, so that pond won't be used for the new treatment?
Well, actually, everything is up in the air right now.
Right.
So it's potentially, it could be still there. Under the current layout, it would still be there. If we change layouts and take the building towards the railroad, then it would go away. It's potentially, there is a potential that it could go away anyway. However, we don't have the luxury of waiting to find out what we're going to do. The State Water Board has urged me
I see.
to get it done as soon as possible, and I think we're already probably pushing it a little far, in the 3 or 4 months that it's been since it's been out of service. So $8,500, although it is a lot of money, it's something that we have to pay. If we don't fix it at all, then we could be incurring fines of some sort, potentially up to $10,000 a day. So,
How much is it to fix the whole pond in case it does have more holes?
we've identified a lot of holes, and when they came out and did the inspection, they saw, I think we're up to like 30-something holes that we found. And they saw all of that when they were there. I told them that there may be more that we can't see right now. Their protocol is to go through and have all of their guys essentially line up and walk the entire thing and mark anything and everything that they see as they go around. And as they're fixing them, if they find something that they didn't see initially, they'll fix that as they're going around. If we were to have to replace the whole liner replacement is in the neighborhood of $60,000 to $100,000, depending on labor and material at the time. So this is considerably cheaper than that option. And being that we might have to take it out anyway, this is a small price to pay.
And this came about after the budget, so nothing about this is in the budget, it was budgeted.
Yeah, this money was not in the budget, and the next item wasn't in the budget either. And unfortunately, there wasn't really a good way to budget for that, because if these people fell off the face of the earth and didn't want to talk to us anymore, then the price would be almost double, and we'd have to come back to that anyway. But luckily, this is a one-time thing, hopefully that we won't have to deal with until we have a final solution for this one.
Other board comments? Any public comment on this item?
No.
To the board.
That's what that's for.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Back in.
Green, Jones. Director Green,
Yes.
Director Calhoun,
Yes.
Director Calvins,
Yes.
Director Parent,
Abstain.
President Sangster.
Yes.
Passes 5, no, and 1 abstained.
Moving on to item number 4, discuss and approve resolution 2020-04, authorizing director of utilities to purchase a replacement motor for pond 1 in the amount of $8,736, including tax and shipping, and authorize a budget increase in the same amount to wastewater treatment plant maintenance.
So again, this has been talked about a couple times. Right now, we're operating with the aerator motor from pond 2 in pond 1, because this whole thing started because the motor in pond 1 died. We basically have a quote from Aqua Aerobics, who is the manufacturer of that package, the motor, the propellers, the floats, everything, and from Valley Electric Motor, which is it's a motor repair company in Gonzales. This is kind of interesting because the motor itself is about $4,000 cheaper directly from the manufacturer, but the assembly is cheaper from Valley Electric.
Same motor, same brand?
Same everything, and they're getting it from the same place. So, riddle me that. So anyway, his recommendation is to buy it from Valley Electric for what amounts to about $1,000 by the time you pay taxes and shipping. The only difference is that we have to go pick it up in Gonzales, which is $150 worth of time. So
Well, the Valley quote actually lists the shipping cost of $395. Is that to them?
that's to them.
Okay.
It'll be shipped to them. They will confirm that was arrived in good shape and working order, and then we'll pick it up.
And we're gonna install it?
Just forgot their name. Well company at the end of 10. AWOL Engineering. Right. They'll come put it on for us, and we'll have to have an electrician.
So we robbed the motor from pond 1 and put it in pond 2?
No, the motor in pond 1 died.
Oh.
So we
Pond 2.
took the motor out of pond 2, or we took the whole assembly out of pond 2 because that's a different motor than's in pond 1 for some reason, and you can't just unwire it and wire it to the other one because one's a 2-speed and one's a single speed. So we took the whole thing out, put it in pond 1. That's what started this whole debacle, because when we pulled the aerator out of pond 2, it had a big piece of a liner on it, which led us to having to drain the pond and finding all the holes.
I withdraw my question.
So, at any rate, the request is to approve the purchase from Valley Electric Motor in the amount of $8,735.78, and again, the authorized budget adjustment in the same amount to wastewater treatment plant maintenance.
I'm assuming that the cost of the installation and the electrical work will come back in another meeting?
We have enough funds in that same account to cover that, we just do not have the funds to cover the motor and the electric.
Any other board comment?
Will this motor be able to be used somewhere else after potential upgrades, or could it be surplus?
It can be used for either. Most likely, it'll be repurposed into a new pond
Okay.
to just keep the recycled water fresh. So it would probably either stay, if we keep pond 2 or pond 1, it'll stay in one of those. The motor that's currently being used, that's from pond 2, is probably within a couple years of its life anyway. So.
Thanks.
Any other board comments? Any public comment on this item? No. Back to the board.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Anthony, Director Collins,
Yes.
Director Palafox,
Yes.
Director Green,
Yes.
Director Parent,
Abstain.
Director Sangster.
Yes.
Passes 4-0 with 1 abstain.
Moving on to item number 5. Discussion on status of Machado wastewater treatment facility expansion and aeration upgrade project.
So through all of this, and through the conversations about using the railroad property for access to the treatment plant, we finally found somebody who's willing to talk to us from railroad property management. They have sent over a application for property purchase. Their minimum offer is $50,000. We're trying to get clarification, whether that's 50,000 per parcel or 50,000 per acquisition. So at this point, I'd like to get a consensus that the board does want to move forward with that and allow us to put in an application. There is no commitment, so we're not giving up $100,000.
How many
I would never come to that board asking for $100,000 for nothing, but I'm not that ridiculous, but we do have to put in at least an offer of 50,000.
There's 2 parcels?
There's 2 parcels. So the way their application reads, it's fair market value or 50,000, whichever is less, or not whichever is less, whichever is more. But they do require that you at least put in an offer of $50,000. It's not a commitment to buy, it's just an offer.
So
I
rather
don't
than-
know, if you make an offer and they accept it, aren't we obligated to follow through?
Not necessarily, it's just like buying a house. Sorry, you got a question?
Well, so they, rather than an easement, they want us to purchase the access area.
Well, we're investigating the purchase of it. If we have an easement, then we have to follow all of their rules. And those mitigations are probably gonna be more cost prohibitive than buying the property.
Okay.
We don't have a number for that,
Right,
but, they are fairly difficult to work with.
okay.
But it doesn't stop there, you still have asphalt and...
We still have still have the road costs, so we know, we have an
And
estimate of the
fencing.
road costs, the fencing, the lighting, and that's in the neighborhood of 600,000 to go that 16.
Lighting?
Yeah, well, you can't have a road through the middle of the dark without lighting. Especially.
I live on one.
Well, it's by choice. It's not a public building.
There's gotta be other ways to put in lighting.
So, I mean, there's a lot of different aspects that go into it, it's not just the road. You have the road section, you have drainage, you have fencing along the railroad, you have other security measures, whether we're gonna put a gate at the end with it's closed at a certain time. You have to have,
Business hours only.
you're gonna have to have lighting along the road, so people don't drive off the road, people know where it is if they're walking.
You only have the gate open during daylight hours.
You have to have mitigations for all the people that use that as their little backyard to keep all the homeowners off that property. And then you have to build it in such a way that it's still used as an easement for Gallo, who has a legal easement to that property just as we do. So there's a lot of different aspects, and that's what
Are they interested in participating in this at all?
they're interested in participating with us in the treatment plant as far as the depth of their interest in paying for a road. So far, all they've expressed interest in is helping grade the dirt road so that it's not so noisy as the grape trucks drive down. I don't think that they're really willing to pay for a paved road.
Have you talked to them about that?
We talked to their logistics company, and that's when they expressed the interest in helping pay for and providing a better dirt road.